I don't know, that's a good story. Not only because David's a stud, but because David was a man that was after God's heart. And just to really see somebody that's honest for God with all their heart, it just makes you draw closer to them because they have our confidence in the Lord. And so, what I want to do is I picked up 5 things that I saw in David in his life that gave him the confidence to go out and run to the battle. The first thing that I saw, and I put it so everybody can remember. So if you remember this story, you go to the Okay, David, he dared to be different. David, he was assured of his armor. David, he had a vision of the victory. David, he had the inheritance that was given to Israel. And last of all, David, he had a deep desire for God. And if you look at all those things, it spells his name, and that's what David was made up of. All those 5 characteristics. And so, first of all, I want to look at the first thing. David, he dared to be different. If you look at his brothers and the way that the people in the army were, they were just out there and being intimidated by this Goliath. This one that would just come out every day and say, hey, you guys are a bunch of wimps. Come on, let's have somebody come out here and fight me. And David said, I'm going to be different. I'm going to step out and take on this challenge. He wasn't going to be, like, we've seen that commercial a long time ago where the Val Taco were same place, same place, same thing. He wasn't like that. He was going to be an exception to the rule. He was going to be different. He was going to be like the commercials that they have nowadays, the CNR commercials. That was David. David was a shepherd boy. He was just all dirty and stuff. And then he comes out to the battle and he's ready. That's David. But the difference in that wording, not what a difference a day makes, we should say what a difference a person like Dave makes. Because when you have that same attitude and heart, you'll make a difference. But when the enemy comes around and saying, you're never going to change, you're never going to do this. For 40 days, he had been saying this. But David took up that challenge and he said, hey, I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something about this problem. I'm going to take him on. And so he changed it. In one day, what a difference a day makes. He took on that challenge. We should be able to take on that challenge and know that the victory is ours and take on that enemy. Chop off his head. Anything that faces us, that we should take on those things and kill them. Because we know that we have a victory. We sing the song, it says, we have overcome by the blood. Let's live. Let's live in victory. That's what I see that in our church, that God is building a foundation that we could be able to live in victory. So that's why I look at David and I see that he dared to be different. The second thing that I see in David, that he had an assurance in his armor. And the armor that we see, it wasn't a physical armor that David had on. Because right when Saul said, hey, are you going to go on and fight this guy? Well, take on this armor. And so he starts putting on all kinds of good armor, the breastplate, a shield, and gives him everything that every soldier should have. But David said, I'm not used to these things. I have my trust and faith in the Lord. I've taken on lions and bears and everything else. And it wasn't the slingshot that I used, but it was my God that just used those instruments to get rid of those things. And so he had an assurance in his God.